Hey, welcome back to Mellow Vibes. I'm trying to find some good light. I'm a little bit oily, but happy Independence Day. Feliz Dia de la Independencia en la República Dominicana. Okay, so I watched Jessie Boo, love her, fellow Cancerian sister, and like I posted a comment that's gotten a lot of likes. It always surprises me when I say something like, "Oh, people actually read this," but and it's talking about like standards and stuff. I really get like heated or whatever when with dating and like dating has been a huge part of my life. I mean, late, but like from the time I was like in college to a couple of years ago, and so I mean that's more than 15 years. So and it's different being a Black woman dating. It's very different being a woman who is saving herself for marriage dating. And even with that, I think I've dated a ton, and I feel like I'm pretty positive I've dated more than most people that I know. Like gone out on several dates. I've dated dozens of guys. And sometimes I've had to have that discussion with people, and sometimes not. And then when I started dating online, I just put it in my profile, like, I am not sleeping with you, I'm saving myself for marriage. And I'm not gonna say it's, well, for some people that's fine at first. I was always like in a group of girlfriends that were saving themselves for marriage. Those are just like the people that I attracted. Those were my friends. And then it comes a time when you get older as a woman. I am getting older, but it's just like, people make you feel like you're decrepit. And people are like, oh, are you still doing that? Oh, is this like, maybe like you're not gonna find this, and maybe you're not gonna whatever, and oh, you don't want to date anybody with kids. Like, that's really hard nowadays, especially since you're getting older. And it's just like people really want you to compromise your standards, and it's like I don't even know if they know why they're saying these things. I mean, it's mostly societal, right? And but is it like, are they really thinking about your well-being? Do they think being in a relationship with basically almost anybody is better than not being with anybody? Do they think you deserve less than what you desire for yourself and what you're worthy of? You have to ponder that sometimes. And I'm not saying that like the people I've dated are horrible. Like, I've seen I've heard horror stories, I've seen horror stories. What Jessie Boo was talking about was like a horror story, really. I have never come across like foul ass people like that. Excuse my language. And I tend to think I attract pretty decent friends, I attract pretty decent guys, and I've never really had people come at me like really wrong and disrespectful. So I've had people say, maybe this isn't for me, like, that's great that you want to do that. I think the worst I've had was like when I said, this is why I started putting it in my profile that I was not sleeping with anybody. Because right before I put it in my profile, I remember having a conversation with this guy, and then he was like, oh, okay, that's cool, like one of my friends did that, that's cool, whatever. And then it was like he ghosted me, like he unmatched with me the next day. It's like, and he was like 38. I'm like, you could be a man and say like, that's not what I'm looking for. Like, I don't care. Like, you're not gonna hurt my feelings. Like, this has been, an ongoing thing. So, but most people have been like, oh, really? Like, oh, that's like commendable. I don't know if I could do that. Or like, oh, like that's interesting. Or they'll think that they're the guy that's gonna get me to actually do something. And it's like, huh, funny. But or I dated this one guy who's like so convinced we were gonna get married. I just saw him as a friend. Oh, there's actually been a few of those. But this one particular guy I'm talking about, like, I just saw him as a friend for several reasons. even though like he was attractive, I wasn't particularly attracted to him, but women threw themselves at him all the time. And but he was just cool. He would always be like, "Oh, when are we getting married? We're gonna get married. We have such chemistry. We have such like heat." And I was just like, we're not getting married." So and he's like, "I know you want to wait for marriage." Like he's like, "That's cool. Like I can't do too long. Like we gotta get married in like 6 months." But like pretty much like all the dudes I've talked to have been like, you know, pretty cool like that. Like or sometimes, like I said, like I didn't even get there with somebody, like it just never even came to that point before we're just like, this isn't a thing. I will say probably location is a big part of it, because I know like, you know, Jesse like is particularly dating in Atlanta. I wouldn't even bother. That's why I really wanted to move to Atlanta like 5 or 6 years ago when my best friend moved there, and I was just like, how could I possibly move to Atlanta? Like I don't think there are really any viable men there. And yeah, like she had a difficult time, and she like we always talk about like we imported our men. So like she imported her husband, and it's funny, like when I visited her like almost 2 years ago now, a acquaintance that I met, well, actually I met him on a cruise, and then we like got together in like Atlanta and stuff. And he was like, "Yeah, you should move, like blah blah blah. Like, you know, you just have to bring the person with you. You're not gonna find somebody here." So like, he was really straight up. Like, and he's a single, eligible man who's heterosexual. He's probably the only one I saw, like, or a couple of his friends too. But yeah, so it's like that's one of the reasons why I didn't move to Atlanta, because I really thought about it for a very long time. I was super serious about it, that or like Decatur. But again, like location, like I've only dated in Pennsylvania and Massachusetts. And Massachusetts was super recently. That was just in the last like 4 or so years, or 3 years maybe. No, probably 4 years. Because I had literally only ever dated in Pennsylvania up until a few years ago. Even though I'm from Massachusetts, I only ever dated Pennsylvania. There was one guy in Massachusetts before that. That was like sometime in college when I was like home for a break, and it was somebody who went to UMass, and he knew my friend and blah blah. And he was kind of weird. But yeah, so Pennsylvania, Massachusetts, I can at least vouch that people are pretty normal, because I don't know about the Atlanta dudes or the LA dudes, because they just seem kind of weird from the stories that I'm hearing. But even though Philly dudes have a lot of issues on their own, I have always been like treated respectfully. I did have one friend in Philly who would tell me like I don't know what you think this is. You're so rigid. You need to like. He would tell me that about everything, about that standard for myself, or about like texting. So I was like, I don't want somebody texting me. Like, you need to call me. Like, what is this? He said I was super rigid. Mind you, he was like what? He's like at least, he's my brother's age, isn't he? So he's like 5 or 6 years older than me. He was a pastor. He's telling me like I'm too rigid. So whatever. There's gonna be like a few oddballs, but for the most part, everybody like I've attracted into my life has been pretty decent. And so I would just say it's location. I would just say never lower your standards, because like I said, people in my own family who are super close to me are telling me, I don't know, and even if you get this, and you get this guy without kids, and blah blah blah, and even if he's like filling space for marriage, like you want to find somebody else who wants to like build a home and maybe have tiny homes and all that stuff like that I'm super into, and I'm like, yeah, and that's like literally what I got. So I would say just stick to your standards, because what you're looking for is looking for you. We've said multiple times how we're just like such blessings in each other's lives, like how we couldn't believe, like it was so many times we were just like, we're reading each other's minds, or I'd be like I was telling him the other day, I was like, when we first started talking, like I really thought like maybe there was some way you were like you'd hacked my phone or something, because like how would you know? But then there was some things that I had never even like, I hadn't like typed or like texted or said anything or written in my notes in my phone. It had just been like stuff I was thinking about, like something I had just been thinking about earlier that day. He'll just be like, oh, so blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, wait, what? Like there's been so many freaking moments like that or I'll read something that really resonated with me, and then he literally said the same thing to me the next day. Like, you will find what you're looking for. And if you are like super, I think another thing is like, I literally did not care anymore if I was with anybody. I had been my whole life. I'm a Cancer. Like, we're so loving and nurturing and romantic, and actually we're the most sexual sign of the zodiac. And I was obsessed with love since I was 3 years old. I wanted to be married forever. And then I had opportunities, but when they actually, there was like 4 or 5 guys who had like talked to me about marriage before, and it was at that point where I'd be like, this isn't what I want. Not that I didn't want marriage, I didn't want marriage with them. It was like the realization, like, oh no, I don't just want to be married. It's like, I want to be married to the right person. And not that they weren't good people. Like, a lot of, like all of them were really decent dudes. But I was just like, I don't see that with them. So it's like not just about like marrying anybody. I could have been married many times. But yeah, it's I totally just lost what I was saying. Just really lost my train of thought. But it's maybe I should go back and see like what the heck I was just saying. Like, you know, you just go off and you're just like, wait, what just happened? I've had this happen to me in like job interviews, and it's like really awkward. but anyway, I don't know what I'm saying, but we're gonna continue. But yeah, it's just that I was really like super into love. Okay, yeah. So there was a time where I thought I was gonna marry my best friend, and I was like, oh, maybe this is legit gonna be like one of those romantic comedies. Like, I said that before when everybody would always be like, why aren't you with him? Like, he's legit. My friends stopped asking me that. I was like, maybe if my life was a romantic comedy, we would end up together. And then he like confessed his love for me and all this stuff. And then that didn't work out. But it was like right before, because I was really like struggling with the fact, like, am I supposed to be with him? Like, he's said these feelings for me that I don't have for him. But I was like, is this supposed to happen? And I was like, it was the first time I was like, I give this to you, God, whatever you want to do with this, it's like, it's your will, it's in your hands. I am at peace. And like, when I said that, like, that was like the first time in my life, I had truly felt at peace with not having control over the situation, but also just like at peace with myself and with just being by myself. And that was like almost 6 years ago. And I thought that when it didn't work out, because it like ended catastrophically, we were never in a relationship, but it was just like literally telenovela style, the way we argued right before, like, anyway, I was like, I thought, I was scared like that peace that I felt was going to go away, and it didn't. And I was like, I still am really good with being by myself. Because you really don't want anyone bringing drama in your life. Like, trying to intertwine your life with somebody, like even having a roommate is a lot. So trying to like intertwine everything about your life with somebody is a whole thing. And you have to be really committed, in love, all those things if you're gonna do that. And I'm like, I'm good with myself. So I really wasn't looking for that. It took me like a while to like try to start dating again, and that's when I started dating in Massachusetts. But anyway, like I said, like when I met my fiance, I was not like, I was trying to work on building a business. I was working on so many things. I had like quit my job to like just try to go in on building Mellow Vybes and like my hypnotherapy, life coaching stuff. And I was like, I am busy. I don't need anything else. But I really wanted to like work more on my Spanish, because I don't speak Spanish as much as like I would like to. And then I was, I landed on this app. I didn't land on the app. It was recommended a couple times by language people that I watch on YouTube. And then somebody was like, oh yeah, a lot of people meet their spouses, and my fiance's on that. And I'm like, cool, but not what I'm looking for. Don't really want that to happen. And because for one, I really wasn't interested in dating somebody from, any other country. That was not like my plan. Because you're talking to like native speakers in the language that you want to talk to, like, you want to like work on. although there were other people like that, I was like, I'm not interested in your language. I don't know why you're messaging me. I remember there was this guy from India. There was somebody from like Sri Lanka, and I'm like, okay. But yeah, I was like talking to a bunch of people, and anyway, that's how I met him. He was the first person who messaged me, and it was just like an immediate, like, it was like stuff he said right off the bat was just like online, like with how I think, and his English was pretty good, and my Spanish is pretty good, so it's like we could switch off and like understand each other really, really well. And I had decided like from like that day or the next day, I was like, he's the only person I'm gonna give my number to, because I was like, oh, let's like chat. And yeah, and then we video chatted 4 days later or 3 days later after that, and we talked for like an hour and a half. I was literally just taking like a half-hour break in between work, and I think no, actually it took like I think it was supposed to be like a 15-minute break, and it was like an hour and a half. It was like his day off, but it's like a work day, and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe like I talked to you this long. He's like, yeah, like the conversation was, you know, whatever he said, like it just flowed. It was really good conversation. He's like, you know, he was like saying like, yeah, we kind of just like flow. Like if we didn't, like this would have been 5 minutes. I would have been like, I'm out. I was like, damn, like totally blunt honesty. Like I can be like that. So anyway, so yeah, that's how that happened. But I just want to say like, keep your standards. That's it. Keep your standards. Like people telling, especially Black women, to lower the standards is like so preposterous to me. Like we are literally the most educated and job having people, but we're supposed to lower our standards in love. No. So that's all I wanted to just talk about real quick. Yeah, peace and mellow vibes. What's up?